Alright, hello all. This is me going over the Nightwolf changes for my Rise of the Mid-Tier patch. As you can see, I got some patch notes up here. Alright, so let's break down Nightwolf. So the TLDR for him is he's got better damage, chip, armor, zoning, and X-ray. Makes him a very well-rounded character. And then I went ahead and I added archetypes there in the thing. So he is a well-rounded archetype. Alright, overview. Nightwolf has been training since 2011. He's been working on his spiritual connection and his ethereal weapons. He's got a new passive. Dagger and normal arrow attacks deal 1% more damage and 5.5% more chip. All axe, EX arrow, and lightning attacks deal 2% more damage and 1% more chip. And in the patch notes, I'll put knife, arrow, lightning, or axe in there. Alright, let's get started with the normals. 112, he's got an axe. So, that's got, chip goes from 1.7 to 2.7%, and damage goes from 7 to 9. So that's 112. Let's see what else we got here. Alright, 114, that's the one where he sends full screen. Damage went up from 9 to 11. And this one's got a lot of hit advantage. Enough for, you know, some lightning shenanigans. And then, okay, 1-1 has a knife. So chip goes from 1.3 to 1.8%. And he gets an extra 1% damage on that. Alright, we got 1-2-2-1. It's got, now this is an axe, so 1% more chip and 2% more damage. Boom, boom. 20% just for this. His ethereal weapons hit hard now. And then 1-2-2 also has an axe. Goes from 1.3% chip to 2.3%. And then 5% damage. Alright, we got his monstrous back one string. Now this, it's a little on the slow side. It is a mid. Always check against Melina if you're wondering if something's a mid. So yeah, it is a mid, but it's so slow in this game because all the jumping around and shenanigans that's going on. It's a little bit slow, but if you happen to get your opponent to block a jump in, or that's how you're going to land it. You're going to land it after a jump in. Alright, so back 1-1, 1.2 chip goes up to 1.7% chip 3 times, and then the damage also 1% each. So nice little 19% there for that. The back 1-1 fourth hit goes from 1.3 to 1.8% chip, and then an extra 1% because of the damage knife. And then back one also is a knife. So you get this very nice string after a jump in. Let's see if I can do it. You know, something like this. Just something like that. You know, 43%, not bad, meterless. Welcome to good damage, finally, Nightwolf. Okay, what else do we got? Okay, his down one. His down one was -5 on hit. Standard for MK9 is to be +1 against the standing opponent and -1 against the crouching. So he now has the standard data. So he's +1 on hit against standing and -1 on hit against crouching. What else do we got? Alright, we got back 2-2-1. Back 2-2-1 is this beautiful string, 22%. And the chip goes up as well to almost 3%. And then back 2-2, 1.3% chip to 2.3%. And then an extra 2% damage like normal. And then the back 2. Back 2 was always, it was like an okay mid, but the hitbox was a little small. The hitbox was a 1.5 size. So this is what it is with a 1.9. Nice little mid here, catches Melina. And it was also a little bit on the slow side. It used to be 19 frame startup. Now it's sped up a little bit. It's 16 frame mid. Still no, not as fast as like a smoke 15 frame half screen overhead, but a much bigger improvement for the old Nightwolf there. He actually has that is a legit mid, especially if you're walking back. You know, not a bad move. Alright, what else do we got? Alright, forward 2 hitbox. Now this is a high, so you're not going to really see a ton of benefit on this hitbox increase, but it is bigger. You land this, you get a safe jump, just like that's standard. He's always had that. But So hitbox a little bit bigger, so it'll go just a little bit farther. And then the chip, 0.5% because it's a knife. And then he goes up to 10% because he gets that 1% passive. And then the startup is just a little bit faster. It used to be a 19 frame startup. Now it's about 18 frame. All right, what else do we have here? Next is his 2-3-4 string. That is interesting because every single one of these just happened to be even on block. So 2 is even on block, 2-3 is even on block, 2-3-4 is even on block. So I don't know if you, you do tick throws or whatever, but it does a little bit more damage. Let's see what it does. The whole string right now, and it's a setup, 19%. You should be hit confirming though. Any hit confirmed with Nightwolf should be hit confirmed. So you'll get some decent damage. All right, forward 3-1. We'll do forward 3-1. That's this guy. It's a knife. So the hitbox was a little bit standard size, but it would whiff an awful lot. So that hitbox is increased from 1.5 to 1.7. It's also got the knife passive in there. Forward 3 now is a low. That doesn't add mix. He's got a lot of overheads like 1-1-2, last hit's an overhead. 1-2-2-1, the last 2 hits are overheads. Back 2-2-1, the last 2 hits are overhead. But this isn't mix. He doesn't have any overhead starters. But what this will help catches your opponent if they're sleeping. You might open them up, or something like if somebody's got like EX shake, like smoke. That because this is a low, if he does that EX, you're going to get a full combo because he will no longer be able to parry this. 4-3 back 4, just a little bit faster startup. All right, what else do we have? We have standing 3, the big boot. From 9, damage goes up from 9 to 11%, and the hitbox was a little on the small side, so I moved it. It used to be 2, and now it's 2.7. But then I tucked the hitbox extension a little closer to the body, so it hits where the foot's going to hit, but because it's tucked in and bigger, it'll have a little bit of some anti-air properties in there and stuff like that. And it's a little going to be like, I think it's +2 on hit now. In live, if you download this, I think it's like +3 on hit. So but he's got an okay mid there. It's not bad. Yeah, and also the duration is faster. So if you whiff it, it's a little safer. It goes from 52 frames down to 44. And startup used to be 17 frame, and now this is 15 frames. All right, back 4. Used to be -24 on block. Now I've got it around -15. So still punishable, but not a bad move. The big change here, though, is this used to be +2 on hit. Now you have enough time to... You even have enough time to whiff a forward 3, so you have a lot more time. Now, if they tech roll, this used to be minus... Let's see, it was +2 on hit, -8 on tech roll. So they tech roll, they still can get out of it, but at least you're going to be plus. Like, this used to be like punishable. Like, let's say you swept in the corner, you'd get punished on hit, but now you're plus on hit. Enough to whiff it down 3. All right. Oh, his down 4. His down 4 is one of the standard down 4s that doesn't have the greatest range. It's like your average down 4, but his hitbox size was 1.3. Standard hitbox size is 1.5 in this game, so I just upped it to 1.5. So if the foot connects on the knee now, it will hit. So that's actually a pretty good buff for him, because down 4s are so good in this game. Okay, his throw, he happens to have a knife and lightning in his throw. Where's my macro? There we go. So throw goes from 12% to 15%, and he's got a knife and lightning on both sides. So nice improvement there for Nightwolf. Now we are here in the specials. Okay, his arrow shot. He had a really bad projectile. This used to be 6%, but because he's been training since 2011 on his weapons, that's now 7%. And the duration, it used to be 67 frame total, which is very long for, like, it's not the, it didn't, it's a long projectile. Now it's 57 frames, so you can block a lot faster, you're a lot safer. And same with the startup. It used to be 36 frame, now it's 31 frames. So it is a respectable projectile now. Now the good thing is his EX, each one of those in the original only did 5% each. But you land all three, you get a lovely 21% damage. You know, you can do something like, no, not that. You can do something like, if you wanted, you know, 31%, not bad, and then you're plus on hit. But most likely you're almost always going to want to hit confirm into the meterless launcher. But that is nice. And then the chip also feels good here with a ton of chip options if your opponent decides to block. Yeah, so and then EX Arrow chip from 1.5% to 2.5%. It'll say 3% just because they round, but it's 2.5. And then, yeah, plus 2% for all the arrows for EX. All right, what else we got? We got Choke. Hitbox used to be 1.3 really on the small size. Now it's 2.3, so it helps. It's still a high, though, so if they duck this, it is going to whiff. But the nice thing is, you know, you're like bread and butter combo. If you decide to, let's see what you could do. If you wanted to end on Choke, you could. Something like that. It now grabs. Easier. 37% meterless. Nice, easy combo. Yeah, and then the damage for Choke, first hit increased from 1% to 4%. So he gets a nice little 15. Now his EX Choke, 1.3 hitbox to 2.5. So can when his hand touches you, it'll grab you now. Chip increased from 1.1 to 3%, and the damage, the first hit of damage increased from 1% to 8%. And so he's got 23% armor, which is very good, but that's in line with the game because Shiva has a high armor move that does 22% one bar, and this is a high. So his armor options are these, which is a high into an overhead, but the armor will run out. So his armor is much improved, but it's not broken because there's ways around it. They're always highs. All right, Lightning. Because he's been practicing, his Lightning now goes from 8% to 10%. So he'll get a little bit more damage. It scales. If you land an EX Lightning, you'll do a little bit more damage than you used to, but not by much. The EX Lightning scales a lot. All right, now we're into his shoulder, one of his best special moves. The chip, I just moved it up to 2% to be consistent with the EX changes. What do we have here? Let's see if this is off screen here. All right, EX shoulder, first hit chip goes from 1.8 to 2%. The second hit goes up to 2% as well. So just basically every hit is 2% on block for this. And then the damage is slightly increased. Nope, not to stand. And don't block. So regular is 9%, and the second, both hits are about 8, so it does about 16%. They used to do 12%, I think. And then the collision size. There were some issues with this, whiffing. It's still not perfect. I changed the hitbox from 2 to 2.3. Still not perfect. Will mess up in the corner sometimes, but it is much better. All right. And then we'll just go over... I can't find the data byte for this move, so it remains 5%, but he does plenty of damage now, so it's actually okay that I couldn't find this. The EX Tomahawk, though, because it's an axe, it goes extra 1%, so for both hits, 2. So 2.5% chip each hit, and then each hit is 2% higher. So he can get some... monster. You could do 2-bar if you wanted. No, that's good. It starts to drop pretty crazy. You could do something like that. Something like that. upping it now. Something like this. It's not the best, but you land this wonderful move. You know, if I weren't bad. Something like that. You know, 1 bar, 50%. Now we're talking some katana damage, finally. So, yeah, welcome to damage, Nightwolf. You can actually do some now. Alright, his X-ray used to be pretty meh, but his hitbox buffed from 2 to 3, so much bigger. It basically, where you see those hatchets now, that's where the hitbox is. It used to be shorter. Like, you would see the hatchet hit the opponent and it wouldn't X-ray. Because he hits, he hits with 2x 2 times, so that his passive and his passive on both of those hit increase the damage greatly for his X-ray. 42% naked X-ray, and then the chip goes up to 6%. Not bad. And it's used to be 77 frame duration. Now it's done in 63 frames. It used to be 21 frame startup, and now it's 17 frames. So he's gotten a lot of love, and you check him out. He's pretty balanced. I would say he's still not threatening. I don't think he's going to be threatening Kenshi too much. But with this new life here, I think he's possibly around Katana tier, maybe even slightly better than Katana was in the current live game. But yeah, if you how to download this will be in the description, or I also have another video on how to download this from Nexus Mods. But yeah, I'm going to do a bunch of these characters. Stay tuned for more characters, and I'll talk to you guys later.